What's the better option for you? Shared ownership or buying outright? It's a question that a lot of potential home buyers face here in the UK, especially in today's unpredictable housing market. Both routes come with their own pros and cons. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know so that you can make the best decision for your personal situation. Let's get into it. Now, let's start by clarifying what each option really means. Shared ownership is where you buy a share of a property, typically between 25 and 75%, and you pay rent on the remaining portion owned by the housing association. It's designed to help people to get onto the property ladder without needing a full deposit or mortgage amount. On the other hand, buying outright means you purchase the entire property, whether that's with a mortgage or, if you're really lucky, with cash up front. You have complete ownership from day one, and with that, all the control and responsibilities. So, why might shared ownership be appealing? Well, first up, lower upfront costs. The deposit you need is based on the share of the property you're buying, not the full market value. This makes it way more accessible for people who might not have tens of thousands saved for a full deposit. And it's not just the deposit. The mortgage payments you make each month are also smaller compared to a full ownership deal, simply because you're only paying for your share of the home. Another advantage is staircasing. Over time, if your financial situation improves, you can buy more shares of the property, eventually owning it outright if that's your goal. But, like with anything, shared ownership has its downsides. For one, you're still paying rent on the portion you don't own, and that rent can increase over time. Plus, you're responsible for 100% of the property's maintenance costs, even if you don't own 100% of it. Another thing to consider is selling. It can be more complicated and take longer to sell a shared ownership property compared to one you fully own, because you often need the housing association's permission first, and they may have rules about who you can sell it to. Now let's talk about buying outright. The biggest perk here is total ownership. You don't have to pay rent to anyone, and you have full control over your property. You can decorate, renovate, and sell when you like without needing anyone else's approval. Plus, the long-term investment potential is stronger. If house prices rise, all the equity you build belongs to you, whereas in shared ownership, your equity growth is limited to the percentage you own. However, buying outright isn't all smooth sailing. The biggest barrier for most people is the larger deposit you need up front. And of course, the full mortgage repayments can be much higher than in shared ownership. It's also worth remembering that if house prices fall, you bear all of that loss. While this is true for shared ownership too, it can feel more significant when you've got all of your money tied up in the property. So, which one is actually cheaper in the long run? Well, it depends on several factors. For shared ownership, the rent you're paying adds up over time, but your mortgage payments will be smaller. If you're able to staircase and increase your ownership, you'll eventually reduce your rent, but that comes at a cost too. For outright buying, the upfront cost is high, but once you've got your mortgage sorted, your monthly costs could actually be lower than in shared ownership, especially if you have a fixed rate mortgage and the rent for the shared ownership properties goes up. Shared ownership is really designed for first-time buyers, people on lower incomes, or those who are looking to get onto the property ladder sooner without saving for years and years for a full deposit. It's a great stepping stone for those who might struggle to buy it outright in the current market. However, it's not for everyone. If you've got a larger deposit saved, or if you're confident in your long-term financial stability, buying outright could be a more straightforward and beneficial option. Buying outright is the more traditional route, and it's perfect for people who've saved up enough for a deposit or can secure a mortgage with manageable payments. It's also a solid option if you want full control over your property and plan to stay in it for the long term. Of course, there are other key factors to think about as well. For example, the location of the property can influence whether shared ownership or outright buying is better for you. In some parts of the UK, shared ownership is more common and offers more opportunities, while in others, buying outright might be more accessible. Let's say you have £15,000 saved. With shared ownership, that could be enough for a deposit on a share of a property in London or another expensive city. But if you're looking at buying outright in a less expensive area, that same deposit could be a stepping stone towards full ownership. So, shared ownership versus buying outright. What's the better option? Well, there's no one size fits all answer. Shared ownership could be a fantastic way to get on the property ladder sooner and with less upfront costs. But if you're in a position to buy it outright, it could give you more control and potentially save you money in the long run. Which route are you leaning towards? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you on the next one.